All right, it is time to render our lard today. Today is rendering lard day here on the homestead. So today I want to teach you how to render lard, why render lard, and how easy it is to render lard. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to our channel, Little Oxenhaven, so that you don't miss any tips and ways that you can live whole, live clean, and live more. No matter if you have 0.1 of an acre of land or 1,000 acres of land, what you're gonna learn here is all kinds of ways where you can live healthier, live more frugal, and live simpler lives. Okay, so why lard? There's been some controversy around lard, and is it healthy for you or not? So to answer your question, lard is very healthy when you get it from a good source. When you get lard from pasture-raised pigs that are out on grass, out on pasture, out in the sun, and are fed a glorious, nutritious diet, lard is very good for you. It's filled with vitamin D. It's a good fat to be having. So I use lard all kinds of ways. I use it when I'm frying things up. So I have a jar of lard that I put right next to my oven. It's there almost all the time, and I just use it every time I have to fry anything up. I use it in baking all the time. So when a recipe calls for butter or a different kind of oil, I will use lard for baking. It is amazing. I just made a birthday cake for my son yesterday, and I used lard instead of butter, and it was amazingly tasty. You can use lard to fry French fries and donuts and things like that. It's a healthy fat to be frying in as well. And it's so easy to do. So let's walk through how to render your lard and how to put it in jars so that it's easy for you to use when you go to use it. So I have my lard rendering here in a big pot and in my big crock pot. So we raise our own pigs out on pasture. So all you're gonna do is find someone that raises pigs out on pasture and start networking and going to farmers markets and finding a local source where you know the pigs are out on pasture with a good diet. And then you can buy your lard from them. Or you can buy a half pig or a whole pig of meat from a local farm, and be sure to ask the butcher to keep the lard. Okay? All right. So what I did was I got my big package of pork fat out of my freezer last night. I thawed it, and then I opened it up this morning and I put the fat. Sometimes you'll have to cut it up with a knife, cut it up into chunks about this big, and then you put it in a pot. You can either render your lard in a big pot like this. There's all the fat, and I just put it on low. You just want it on low all day long. Okay, this is what it looks like. I just put it in here, and it's rendering slowly. You just want it on low. You don't want it on hot because you don't want to burn it. Okay? All right, so it's on low. I also have it in the crock pot right here. So you can do the crock pot method. You just put all that fat there in the crock pot on low for several hours. So you're gonna wanna do this in the morning and let it just go all day long. I'll show you some progress as the day goes on as to what your lard should look like as it's rendering. So what does it even mean to render lard? Rendering lard just means that you're purifying it. You're straining out any solids out of the pork fat so that you just have pure fat in your jars to use. And that way it will keep really well. I just store it on my shelf. I don't even have to put it in the refrigerator to keep it when you just have the fat in the jar. So that's what rendering means. We're straining out any of the solids out of the fat so that it's just pure fat in your jars to keep and use. So the lard here has been simmering for about maybe 3 hours or so. So you're just gonna mix it every now and then. Mix it up every now and then as it's rendering here, as all the fat is coming apart from the solids. All right. So you mix it every now and then. It's so easy. We'll check back in another few hours. It's rendering. Here's my pot rendering away. See how there's a lot more liquid and the solids are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And here is my crock pot rendering array in my crock pot. You see a lot of liquids in there, a lot more solids than liquid right now, but it's going to continue to cook away for the day, and the liquids will keep getting more and more. All right, we are ready to strain our lard and put it in jars. So this is what it looks like. Here's what the solids look like when it is ready to strain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stick First I'm gonna take my solids and put them in a strainer right here, because if I do it that way, then a lot of that good fat, I don't wanna waste any of the good fat that could be around the solids there. So I put it in a strainer first. And you'll see when you do that, that a lot of fat will start to drain from the bottom. So that's what I do first to separate the solids from the liquid fat there. And then I'll show you what to do once all those solids are strained off of the top. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pour. Be very careful because this is very hot. So now I'm gonna pour it into my strainer. So this is a fine mesh strainer right here. Okay, expect to get some grease all over your kitchen counters. I'll show you how to clean that up. It's pretty easy to clean up. Okay, I like to use a fine mesh strainer like this when I'm straining out my lard, because you want to make sure that all the solids are taken out of your liquid. You just want the fat. You don't want any of the solids. You don't want the proteins or anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish straining all the solids out of my liquid, and then we're going to go ahead and jar it up. All right, I'm going to jar up my lard here. Now, I like to have this canning funnel when I do it. It just makes it easier to jar it up. So let's go ahead and just pour it into my jars. Carefully pouring into the jars. All right. So let's keep filling the jars with lard like that. Let's keep filling them. So all my lard is all jarred up and it's here to cool. It's gonna turn nice and white. I'll show you what it looks like in a few minutes. So now it's time to clean up this mess. So I've got some lard greasy mess all over the place. So to clean it all up, I do not grab paper towels when it comes to the greasy messes. I like to grab the Norwex degreaser. So this is an enzyme that binds to grease. It comes like this. You dilute it in a spray bottle. It makes 3 of these spray bottles, so it's made to last a long time. So whenever you have a greasy mess like lard or baking grease or any kind of greasy mess on your stovetop, grab this enzyme. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray lightly the surface of all this grease with the enzyme, and I'm gonna grab the Enviro cloth. So if you're new to Norwex, this is like the everything cloth. You just use it mostly just with water, but in this case, I'm using the grease enzyme with it. This removes up to 99% of bacteria with just water. So I use this almost every surface of my home to clean my farmhouse, is the cloth and water. So let's go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and clean my greasy mess here with the Enviro and the degreaser. And this absorbs a ton of mess. Typically it'll absorb over 10 paper towels worth of mess. So it's really, really easy to clean up all those spills. And I will say, when I am cooking in the kitchen, I get a lot of grease. Even with wearing an apron, I get grease stains all over my shirt. That's typically the most stainish type thing I have on my clothes, is the grease. So I love using the Norwex stain remover. This is another enzyme, and there is 7 different enzymes in this stain remover to target all different types of stains. One of the enzymes in here targets grease stains. So love that for the greasy stains. And then if I forget to put on, yeah, you can use that one. If I forget to put the spot stain on here, even if it's been through the dryer, I'll be like, oh dear, as I'm folding my clothes. And if I notice a grease stain that I missed, it's okay. You can still put this on and run it through the laundry, even if you forget. And then the Power Zyme, if I want to take care of the dirtiest type of laundry, like my apron that's incredibly filthy, I love this Power Zyme detergent so much for the dirtiest loads you can imagine. It's chock full of enzyme, powered to clean all the different types of stains and odors and yuckiness when it comes to your laundry. Love that it doesn't have any fillers or dyes or fragrances in it, and it is so cost effective because you only need a little bit per load. So this is absolutely my favorite detergent with my dirty lifestyle. And when I'm all done cleaning with my cloth, all I do, I just rinse under the faucet while rubbing together like this. I like to rinse with warm water rinse, rub together, rinse, rub together, and then squeeze, hang to dry. While your cloth is drying, the microsilver that's embedded into the fibers will self-purify and self-clean your cloth. So you're not gonna have to launder your stuff very often. You're not gonna get a stinky cloth. Be sure to use that degreaser enzyme if you're using the cloth with really greasy messes like that. But otherwise, for all the other types of mess, just use this and water, and it's picking it all up. 99% of that bacteria, making it so easy to clean. You'll have these for years and years and years, replacing so many paper towels and sprays and stuff like that.